It felt better than all those.
Torque wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna dog that saw, it's a monster.
Yeah.
Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be testing the Ms400, the 462c, and the Ms500. So I had already filmed this segment before with Aaron. That is going to be part of the test, but I forgot to hit record, so now I'm redoing it. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing some drop cutting, and we're going to be doing some torque testing where we crank on the saw and see what kind of torque it makes. All timed cutting. We got two different pieces of wood we're going to cut with them, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll find out, you know, how well each one cuts and how quick it really is. Is the 500 really worth all the money? Is it that much quicker than the rest? We're going to find out. But before we start, we're going to go over some specs about this and tell you a little bit about the test. So all of these saws that we're going to be testing, they all have brand new out of the box steel chains on it. They have never been touched. I've never ruined them by sharpening them yet. All of these saws are equipped the exact same. They all have West Coast bark boxes. They all have West Coast dogs. Two of them have West Coast clutch covers. We weighed all of them. They all have 25-inch light bars. We weighed them when they were full of gas and oil. And I've got some specs here for you before we start as far as the weight, the horsepower, and how much they are going to cost you. So starting with the 400, this saw is rated at 5.4 horsepower from the Stihl website. It is going to cost you $1,109, and it came in at 19.3 pounds full of gas and oil with a 25-inch light bar. Next up, the 462, that saw is rated at 6.0 horsepower. It is going to cost you $1,409, and it is 20.1 pounds. Lastly, the 500i, it is rated at 6.7 horsepower. It is going to cost you $1,669, and it was 21 pounds. So they're all pretty close in weight. The 400 is 2 pounds lighter than the 500. The 462 is right in the middle, along with price and horsepower too. So we're going to go test them right now, and we'll get back to you.
Huh?
I got the expected result.
1 second faster?
22.5.
It seemed like at the beginning, like right here.
4-stroked.
And it wouldn't go.
No.
Yeah. That's when I looked up at you like, why ain't this thing cutting?
Yep, yep. Hopefully the pry test will really get it back. That was 18.8.
Yeah.
And I might have been a little bit slow. It could be 18.5.
It felt better than all those.
Torque wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna dog that saw, it's a monster.
Yeah.
Drop cutting, no. Yeah. All right, so next up we got a piece of ash. It's not near as big. We're gonna try it on there. So we ran two different tests. We ran the big hickory, it was probably a 22-inch log, and then we ran a good piece of ash that was probably an 18-20 incher. We had very similar results both ways, and they're kind of surprising, but kind of not really. So let's start with the 400. The 400 on the big hickory, non-dogged, it made a 24.8 cut and then a 22.9. So
it made a 24.8 when it was dogged in or undogged, and then when it was dogged in, it was 22.9.
Yeah. So what was you ran these saws in the big hickory? What was your takeaway of running in the big hickory, of running this saw?
On the 400, with pretty much the full bar buried, it just likes to eat. It don't like to be pried on very much at all.
It is lacking a little bit in the torque compared to the other ones.
Yeah, you can't pry on it very much because you got to keep that chain speed up.
Yes. Yep, that's what I noticed watching it.
The power band seems like it's in a higher RPM than the rest of them.
Gotcha. It is more of a high revving, kind of like a 50cc Pro Saw.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I gotcha. So yeah, 24.8 undogged, 22.9 dogged. It didn't really benefit from being dogged at all. No. And you noticed when you dogged it,
I had to find the sweet spot.
You couldn't push too hard.
Because it would just stop the chain. It wouldn't keep chooching through like the rest of them.
Yes. Now the 462 did a 20.1 drop cut and a 21.3 dogged. We think the 21.3 was at the end.
21.3.
Yeah, at the end, it was just kind of messed up. I don't think it's good. The dogging this saw doesn't benefit it.
It runs good either way.
Yeah, it's got a lot of chain speed. I did notice after Aaron ran this one and then Aaron ran this one, When he dogged this one, it had a lot of fight in it. It was really grunting.
Yeah, you could pull significantly harder on this than you could that.
Now, it wasn't to its benefit. It wasn't faster pulling, but it kept the chain alive. It didn't just shut it off.
Yeah.
Because you could really hear that thing grunting. Wasn't any faster grunting, but it's got the torque.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. So that one was pretty good. Now on the 500 in the Big Hickory, the drop cut was 22.5, and then the Pride on torqued cut was 18.8.
Yeah.
So dropping it in, if you just dropped it, the 462 is faster, and then this was 2 seconds slower.
Right. And this thing was just like stuck in a 4-stroke for like the first 4 inches of the log. And then once it finally kicked in and got going, it kind of got going down.
Now the torque cut was the fastest of all times at 18.8.
Yes. I was pulling on that thing hard.
And it was pushing through.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of torque.
Yeah.
So now Aaron ran it on the Hickory, I ran it on the Ash. On the Ash, the 400 was a 15.3 and then a 12.7 dogged in. So consistently, every time you dogged it, it was a little bit faster.
Yeah.
The 462 drop cut was the fastest of the group. It was a 10.9, and then dogged it was 10.03. So again, it's staying consistent.
Yeah,
dogging that saw does not really do anything benefit to it.
Yeah, it stays the same.
Now, if you do like to dog saws, you can dog that saw, and it's not going to cut out. Like, it's going to give you, it's going to make you feel like you have power.
And I'm sure if your chain
faster,
if your chain was a little duller too.
Yeah,
you know.
That is a good point. The 500 on the Ash, the drop cut was 12.5, dogged cut, fastest of the group, 9.9, 9.9 dogged, 10.3 dogged.
Not a lot faster, but it's still faster.
That's a matter of pushing the button on your phone.
True.
So that one could be a half second faster.
His time could be different from my time.
What we're saying is these saws dogged on that style of wood are very, very close. Aaron owns the 400. I own the 462 and the 500. Really, my go-to saw is the 462. I just like the way I can drop it. It cuts good. It always runs good. If I'm cutting some big stuff, then yes, I will pick up my 90cc saw or the 500 because it is noticeably torqueier. But just for cutting firewood, standing and bucking, cutting firewood, I prefer the 462. Aaron, you've owned all the saws and now you own a 400. What do you think about your 400? You've seen the times. I mean,
I like the weight of the 400.
The 400 is 2 pounds lighter than the 500 and 1 pound lighter than the 462.
Yeah.
And $300 cheaper than this saw and $500 cheaper than the 500.
Yeah. And even though it's just 1 pound lighter than this,
it is noticeable.
It's, for some reason, it feels like more.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the balance of it, because this is a longer power head.
Yeah. I know when I've ran Mike's 400 and 462, I'll set my 462 down and pick his up, and I kind of have to do a double take.
It's lighter.
It is a little bit. It's a whole pound. We did the math. So if you're considering buying any of these saws, we're just going to sum this up. Who would buy each saw? I think if you want the best budget firewood saw, you can cut big stuff, you can cut small stuff. It's always going to run good. It can pull a 25-inch bar. I think 400 is unbeatable. $1,100.
Yeah, but for a couple $100 more, you can get that, and you can pull a bigger bar with this.
I think that's where the limit is. If you just want to pull a 20 or a 25, I think this is where you're at.
You can run a 28 on that, but I think that's the limit of the oiler.
Yeah.
You can run a 32-inch all day on this chainsaw right here, and it'll handle it just as good as this saw, really.
So I know what you said as far as just a couple $100 more by the 462. I don't know. I think if I was out on the market right now, I didn't have any saws, I think this one will be tough to beat. It's just in a great price point.
Yeah.
And it cuts good.
It does cut good.
It's fast. It's so much faster than any other 50 or 60cc farm and ranch pro saw. That is a very good saw. This one, $1,400. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. It does a little bit better than that one, but still $1,400. That's a lot of money. It's a good saw.
We like chainsaws too. That's why we like to buy them, test them, sell them, get another one, test it out. And
yeah, that's kind of what we do here. So if you're first time watching the channel, you should probably subscribe and you can see what we get next. But yeah, when it comes to chainsaws, I also like to see value. I know the 500 is
It's a great saw.
It's probably, honestly, the most badass saw in the group.
Yeah.
But for the price of it and how it compares to the other ones, I don't think it's that great. And guys, we're not loggers. We cut firewood.
Right.
Okay, we cut some big firewood. We cut some small firewood. We're not loggers. We're not using them every day. But we are from Indiana. We have hardwoods here, hickory, oak, ash. We're not cutting hemlock and pine. You know what I mean? So we do need a powerful saw.
I was just surprised at how much better this saw was dogged in compared to just a drop cut, because you always hear how much chain speed that this has. And I mean, somebody else's test might be different than ours, but that's what we come across a lot.
I had run that one recently. I know you used to have one, but it's been a minute. I knew that one was going to be torquey.
Yeah.
I've said it before, just drop cutting, standing and bucking, I would prefer this saw 100 times out of 100, but if I was going to dog in and torque cut something big noodle, that is what I'm going to.
Yeah.
So Aaron, does this make you nervous? Because right after this, we're going to be testing the 500 versus the 661.
I'm not nervous.
Okay. We'll see you next time. You need to stay tuned. Check out the 500 661 on the following Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.